We'll call this meeting of the Craven County Board of Commissioners regular session for Tuesday, September the 3rd, 2024 to order. Madam Clerk, if you will, please call the roll.
Commissioner Mark?
Here.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Here.
Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Commissioner Howard?
Here.
Commissioner Hunt?
Here.
Vice Chairman Booker?
Here.
Chairman Jones?
Here. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask, if you will, to let's stand together as our County Attorney, Mr. Eric Grady, will lead us in prayer. And after the prayer, I ask you to remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag.
Wherever we find ourselves today, O Lord, may our attitudes, our beliefs, and all that we do prove faithful to you. May we know contentedness with whatever situation assails us. May we be unafraid of whatever challenge meets us. May we be joyful even in the face of our deepest sadness. May we trust you despite the uncertainty of these days. And may we prove unwavering in meeting our responsibility to live at peace with everyone. In the name of the one who is the reason for our faith, our hope, and our love, we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening to each of you, and welcome to this, the Craven County Board of Commissioners, which is your meeting, and to those that may be viewing online, we also welcome you. I would ask that for those of us in attendance here this evening, if we would check our cell phones to make sure they're on silence so they wouldn't disrupt the meeting, we would appreciate it. Commissioners, you have before you your agendas. Are there any agenda items you desire to add or to pull from tonight's agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as is.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. The first item we have before us is a public hearing. We have two tonight, the first one being the Craven County Commercial Outdoor Shooting Range Ordinance. And at this time, I'm going to ask if Mr. Chad Strong will come up and give some opening comments, and then we'll go into public hearing.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
I'm here tonight to request the Board of Commissioners hold a public hearing to hear citizen comments regarding the proposed second draft of the Craven County Commercial Outdoor Shooting Range Ordinance. Since our first public hearing, we made changes to the original ordinance based on public comments received at that first public hearing. We also met with members of the shooting range community to receive additional feedback. We also held a work session with the commissioners and presented the changes made to that ordinance. So at this time, we'd like to request the Board of Commissioners open the public hearing to receive public comment regarding the proposed second draft of the Craven County Commercial Outdoor Shooting Range Ordinance.
Okay, thank you, Chad. Do I have a motion to open the public
moved.
hearing?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to open the public hearing. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we stand in public hearing. Vice Chair Booker.
Yes, the first speaker, Bob Griffin.
If you will, for the record, just please again state your name and address.
Bob Griffin, 109 Pinehurst Drive, New Bern, North Carolina. I represent the Craven County Law Enforcement Officers Association, which is a civilian organization. I appreciate the meeting with the Planning Department seeking our input. The existing county ordinance, Chapter 24, section whatever, would appear to cover noise without a separate range ordinance. North Carolina General Statute 14409 appears to protect existing ranges which have been in existence for at least 3 years. I will again question whether this proposed ordinance will do anything other than make it financially prohibitive to ever build a range in Craven County. Section 6B is subjective. Impulsive sound would include popping a balloon. Section 7B, setbacks, makes it appear that the functional portions of the range must be at least 200 feet from the range owner's property line. Section 7C also requires 1,320 feet clearance from any structure. What about the buildings on the range? What about an adjoining structure behind the direction of fire? A waiver for it is available, but it is unclear. Section 8A allows firing at night for military and law enforcement, but makes no provision for the concealed carry training for civilians. Section 8B appears onerous. The county currently has insurance covering all its employees. Clio carries liability insurance, but it appears that you want us to be responsible for any county agencies utilizing our range in the event that they should have a malfunction and do harm to themselves. It's not clear. Section 9D, site plan. GIS maps should suffice for initial range planning. The professionally surveyed requirement is cost prohibitive for a small range and adds little to the approval process. I look forward to further opportunity to assist in the creation of a workable ordinance if the county leaders deem it necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Vice Chair Booker.
Yeah, the second speaker would be Tom Glasgow.
Good evening.
Good evening, Tom Glasgow, 105 Lookout Lane. I have heard a lot of comments about this or that is cost prohibitive. What I'm not hearing from anyone, including the July 1 comments, is the value that we place on other people's real estate, their privacy, their quality of life, or their health. So I would like to focus on one thing here and just take about 2 or 3 minutes. Depending on the gun in question, the sound of a gunshot may range from around 140 decibels to more than 160. A rock concert might be somewhere between 90 to 120 decibels. An aircraft carrier deck may vary from 125 to 150 plus. OSHA requires workplace hearing protection at or above 85 decibels, averaged over 8 working hours. I want to mention here that the decibel scale is logarithmic, so each 10 decibel increase represents a 10-fold increase in acoustic power. Further, the inverse square law says that with every doubling of distance from a sound source, the sound will decrease by 6 decibels. And that is also means 4 times less intense. So if we double the ordinance's current required distance of a quarter mile to a half mile, or 2,640 feet, we have reduced the noise level by 6 decibels for the nearest residents. As somebody who has been exposed in the past to outrageous levels of noise pollution, I can affirm Craven County residents deserve at least that much space. Now assume a gunshot produces 150 decibels 10 feet from the shooter. We can double that distance in increments from 10 feet all the way to 1,280 feet, at which point the decibel level falls to 108. If we continue that process all the way out to 5,120 feet, we are still at 96 decibels, assuming flat ground, absence of perimeter berms, and inadequate vegetation. Remember, the OSHA threshold is 85 decibels. There's also an additive effect. If we have multiple shooters on a gun range and two people fire by chance simultaneously or nearly so, you can add 3 decibels to that noise. If 3 fire at once, you add 5 decibels. There is also additive effect when the sources produce different decibel levels, although not as strong. Now, regarding vegetation, which apparently no one wants to pay for that either, It is well established anyway that vegetation is not an effective sound barrier unless it is very dense so that it cannot be seen through, very tall, and very deep, on the order of 100 meters at least. Finally, there is the issue of dose or daily exposure. According to the CDC, for each 3 decibel increase above 85, duration of exposure should be reduced by half. At 85 decibels, 8 hours per workday would be allowed. At 97, only 30 minutes. I suggest a 1-mile buffer with dense and tall vegetation already present. This means these gun ranges should be essentially carved out of existing heavy vegetated areas, not parked within 600 feet of someone's home. The 1-mile buffer will go a long way to protect citizens from the consequences of extreme noise pollution. And it's well established now that there is an array of health issues, including cardiovascular health issues associated with constant exposure to loud noise. Citing a gun range should not be as simple as putting in a car wash. But from what I'm hearing, there is a strong sentiment that it should be, anywhere and everywhere, with no concerns expressed about the people nearby these installations. I do appreciate the time and effort of the planning department and the board thus far. Thank you.
You read that? Okay, the last speaker that signed up, first name is Bill, and I cannot read the last name, I'm sorry. Streblo? Thank you.
Well, I guess everybody's here on my doing. I petitioned this.
Give your name.
My name is Bill Streblo. I live at 3390 Saints Delight Church Road, Newbern. I petitioned the commissioners about 2 months to address this issue because there's a permit issue for a shooting range almost in my backyard and within a few hundred feet of Unity Christian Church. And at that time, I gave you several county ordinance from other counties adjoining us that they've already have a shooting range ordinance. And to continue from the man who just spoke, both of them, I believe, at least Pitt County is the one we decided on to use, has 70 decibels at the property line. Because at that point, or 65 decibels, because at 70 you can start to impair the hearing. And I've been to 2 CAMA meetings, all the commissioners' meetings on this issue, and I'm sort of torn between the new ordinance and what I think should be. I represent a little community out in the country, and they all sort of agree that the range out in our area that's going to be way too close to us. And I'd like to suggest you vote. From the last meeting to the planning meeting I attended, this one agrees with almost everything the shooting community wanted, and it's given them in this. So I'd like to call it to a vote. Thanks.
Thank you.
That's it.
All right.
Unless somebody else wants to
Okay.
speak.
All right, do I have a motion that we close the public hearing?
So moved.
All right, I
Second.
have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're back to the board. We will be discussing this further under departmental matters, item 6. All right, the next public hearing is item 2, It's the fiscal year 2025-2026 North Carolina DOT grant application. Ms. Kelly Walker Cuthell. Good evening.
Hey, good evening. So we're asking for a public hearing in regards to the fiscal year 25-26 Community Transportation Program, or CTP grant, as well as a combined capital grant. The 5311 CTP grant is formula-based and is for rural public transportation. We are seeking the entire allocation amount of $441,820. That represents 60% of CART's eligible expenses, because we are still split at 60% rural and 40% urban, and it requires a 15% local match. The combined capital application doesn't specify a grant. NCDOT will decide that at a later time, and we are asking to replace 2 vehicles, 4 cameras that would be replaced in the event that there's a malfunction of a camera. These are on the vehicles. 30 iPads that the drivers use with our scheduling software, and 3 computers that are used in the office. So this is a total cost of $265,310, and it requires a 10% local match. This information has been available for review on the CART's website and at the CART's office. So per our the state requirements, we're asking for a public hearing to be held.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Do I have a motion that we open the public hearing? Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hear none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. We're now in public hearing. Vice Chair Booker, do we have anyone that signed up?
No.
All right. We do want to give any opportunity to someone that maybe failed to sign up before you came in. Is anyone here that would like to speak? All right. Seeing and hearing no one, do I have a motion that we close the public hearing?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. We're back to the board. Thank you. All right, item 3 is chairman's privilege. This evening, we're honored to ask our county manager if he would to present from an award from the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners to recognize our CARTs. So,
Mr. Chairman, it is an absolute honor to be able to do this tonight, and we have a large contingent of our CARTs and our team that worked on this project together. A little background, the award that was received was the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners Excellence in Innovation Awards. So in partnership with the Civic Federal Credit Union, the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners recognize county programs that demonstrate innovative solutions and cost savings to their local communities. The 2024 award winners were announced at the conference on August 8th in Forsyth County, which I believe Commissioner Howard attended. So part of what it is there's a project involved, and I happen to be a part of that very early on in some of our conversations related to substance misuse and addiction. And one of the challenges that Ms. Walker and I heard were that folks were having a hard time from their temporary housing or recovery homes getting to their appointments, getting to their jobs, getting to the vital things that they have to do to sustain their life while they're trying to recover. So the problem was there was a lack of transportation. It was a barrier for many folks to receive the substance abuse treatments they direly needed. And then also incarcerated folks with substance use disorder required transportation home or to receive their mandated drug testing once they're released from jail or prison. The solution that Ms. Walker came up with her team was to use the Elderly and Disabled Transportation Assistance Program and rural operating funds, which she had already secured. They were able to move, of course, by this board's decision, move their facility out where they could work in close contact with the folks at the sheriff's office and the jail, which allowed for easy access for the justice-involved individuals. The Craven Pamlico Reentry Council agreed to pay for the fares for individuals seeking transportation upon release from jail, so that's that partnership we talk about all the time. And then CARTS and the Craven County Opioid Epidemic Response Team worked to arrange transportation for individuals receiving mandated drug testing at no cost to the individuals. CARTS and the Craven County Reentry Council informed the Chief District Judge of services available to assist individuals in meeting court-ordered obligations. So the impacts for this were over 1,900 trips for folks who needed these services, and we helped almost 50 individuals throughout the last year achieve sobriety and continue on that path, which is so vital. And it wouldn't help it would not have happened without Kelly Walker, our carts director. I just want to point her out especially. I watched her take this on. I saw the wheels cooking in there, and she made it happen. But there were a lot of team members that are here with us tonight I want to recognize. And when I say your name, if you wouldn't mind, come to the front. Of course, Kelly Walker, our carts director. Chris Green, our assistant carts director. Francis Henderson, one of our drivers. Francis is here tonight. Amanda Banks, one of our drivers. Caitlin Godley with our opioid epidemic response program, but formerly with Port when this project started. Jasmine Kennedy, our outreach superstar. Is Miss Janice Gray here tonight? There's Janice, part of our Sheriff's Office team, and Nancy Patch with Port. And Mr. Chairman, this is the team that made it happen, and they are very deserving of this award, which I'm going to present to Ms. Walker. Thank you guys for all that you've done.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, forward back to you.
Commissioners, I would ask if you won't mind, let's stand up and see if they can see us. Kind of, we'll stagger here. And, that's fine. You stand up. That's right. All right. Let's get them. Kelly, on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, we do congratulate you and your team. We thank you for all you do. Folks, these men and women, they work tirelessly. They get up early in the morning to late in the afternoon. They battle the traffic in 3 counties and go down a lot of rural roads. And without that, a lot of our citizens would not have some of the opportunities that they have. And so thank you for the sacrifice you make on behalf of our county and the service that you render. So we appreciate each of you and thank you. So any commissioner have anything y'all want to say? All right. Thank you again. Appreciate y'all being here this evening. All right. Next, Commissioners, is item 4, the petition of citizens for agenda topics. Vice Chair Booker, do we have anyone? All right, any citizen that did not sign up that has a desire to speak to the board on agenda topics? All right, here no one. We'll move now to item 5, the consent agenda. Commissioners, you have before you the minutes of the August 19th, 2024 regular session, August 19th, 2024 reconvened session, tax releases and refunds. The sheriff has a donation check for a budget amendment, emergency services budget amendment carryover for updating their emergency operations plan. Social services have a roll forward fund from prior fiscal year 23-24 to fiscal year 24-25 budget amendment. And emergency services also has a preparedness proclamation. Are there any consent agenda items you desire to pull this evening?
Make a decision to approve it as.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as is. Is any discussion on the motion? Hear none, Madam Clerk, if you will, please call the roll.
Commissioner Mark?
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunt?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker?
Yes.
Chairman Jones?
Yes, thank you. All right, now we go to departmental matters. The first item we have is item 6, planning. Ms. Strong, if you don't mind coming back up. This is the discussion for the Craven County Commercial Outdoor Shooting Range Ordinance.
Yes, sir. I'll just open it up stating that we had the required public hearing on the second draft of the ordinance, and I'm here happy to answer any questions the board may have and participate in discussion.
Okay. All right, who'd like to begin? Do you have a commissioner who has any questions? Commissioner Hunt, I see you got a list, so I'll start with you.
I did take some notes. Like someone mentioned earlier, a lot of the prior ordinance was addressed. And it makes me very happy because the current ranges that are in operation seem to be very satisfied with those things too. Somebody addressed one of the biggest issue was the setback from any structure inhabited by humans, and the clarification is that does not apply to the structures on property required for running the range.
Yep, just operation, general
Yeah.
operation.
So I want everyone to know that those structures are not included in that setback. You won't have to walk quarter mile from checking into the range site to the firing line, that type of thing. I don't have any other questions.
All right, other commissioners?
I'll just say,
Commissioner Howard?
Chad, thanks to you and your staff for professionally addressing this, working with community members, addressing some of the concerns that we had the first meeting. Personally, I'm not a big fan of like targeted ordinances. I prefer zoning. I think that would solve 99% of our issues with this, some basic zoning, but I understand people have property right concerns, which is equal to the other concerns, and that's the balance we have to strike here. So that's why I will support this.
Okay, Commissioner Mitchell?
I had a question that just for clarification. Is there provisions in the ordinance to offer case-by-case permits for night training, for example, for concealed weapon training?
Well, the way the ordinance is currently structured, the exemption is for military and law enforcement. But there has been some discussion if someone needs a certain amount of time, and it could vary based on when the sunset happens, that we could work with those individuals and come up with a solution in the future to help with the concealed carry. But as the ordinance is currently drafted, it would not allow for that.
To that point, I have a concealed carry permit. There is no night requirement
Right.
to get your concealed carry permit. I'm not saying that it couldn't happen or shouldn't, but it's not a requirement.
I had discussed this with some of the concealed carry instructors who do prefer to do some night training, and was there room in the ordinance for case-by-case permits on there? And I think what I'm hearing you say, as we move forward in the future, that you will work with those individuals to accommodate those needs.
That's correct.
Thank you. That's all I had, sir.
And I'm just going to concur with what she's saying, and also what Commissioner Hunt has said in the past. Most crimes, when you're getting a concealed carry, happen at night or in dark. So, having a class that addresses some of that concern makes a lot of sense. So, and I've had some citizens bring that same concern up to me, that we wouldn't have a process yet.
I
But
think it's kind of like a specialized training that some of the concealed folks offer individuals.
so if we can, look at that in the future, that would be a positive, I think.
You have any questions? Any additional questions?
No, I would just say that having done past ordinances, we would find in the future times when we might have to change those ordinances, and we'll attack them at that time.
All right, hearing no further questions, what's the desire of the board?
I move that we approve this new ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the Craven County Commercial Outdoor Shooting Range Ordinance. Is there discussion on the motion? I will just state for the record, the Craven County Law Enforcement Range is very close to where I was raised at. I've served for a commissioner for a number of years. I've been questioned about, how could myself vote for something such as this that has restrictions and regulations to it. What most folks don't know is that since I've been a commissioner, I probably have come to the county manager and the county attorney at least 15 to 20 times with citizen complaints about the Craven County Law Enforcement Range. Hadn't said a whole lot about it. We went out there, toured it, so forth, but we had nothing I could do about it. Again, I support a person's right to have a firearm, but if you're living beside it, it's a different story. The comment was made here tonight about private property rights, and I'll be honest with you, I don't want one right beside me either. Again, I respect the right of every citizen to be able to discharge a firearm and to learn how to do so, and we should do that, and we should have facilities. But for me, I want those individuals to know that question, how could I support it? Well, this is nothing new. This has gone on for a number of years, and it also went on when my grandfather was county commissioner about the complaints of it. So I will be supporting the ordinance also. Any further discussion on the motion? Hear none, Madam Clerk, if you will, please call the roll.
Commissioner Mark,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Hunt,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker,
Yes.
Chairman Jones.
Yes. So the motion, it passed unanimously. Since it passed unanimously, it does not have to have a second reading, so it becomes effective immediately, correct, Mr. County Attorney?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right, Chad, on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, we want to thank you, your team. You've worked diligently also for the planning board. We please extend our appreciation to them.
Sure will.
Thank you for the work that you put into it.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to give the opportunity, if anyone, I know there may be some that are here that you came for something prior. You're welcome to stay as long as you want to, but anybody that would like to leave at this time, we'll give you just the opportunity to do so. We'll take just a minute. Thank you for your attendance. Thank you. Take care.
You gotta be in shape. Congratulations, Kelly.
I got your phone number.
Okay, good. Excuse her, she's good.
My friends are.
Yeah. We ended up getting married.
Yeah.
Shake her head. I think she had stuff in her.
All right, Commissioners, we'll come back to order. Item 7 is CART's approval to apply for the fiscal year 2025-2026 Community Transportation Program and combined capital grants. Ms. Kelly Walker Q3.
Thank you. So yes, as we previously discussed, we have 2 grants that we are requesting permission to apply for. Is there any additional information about those grants?
Any additional questions needed by the board?
No, sir, I move that we approve.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve for the application for the fiscal year 25-26 Community Transportation Program and combined capital grants. Any discussion on the motion? Hear none, Madam Clerk, if you will, please call the roll.
Commissioner Mark,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard, Commissioner Hunt,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker,
Yes.
Chairman Jones.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Kelly. Appreciate it. Okay, item 8 is social services, the approval of funds to cover the COLA increase for child support enforcement contract. Mayor.
Chairman, Commissioners, thank you for having me tonight. Today we bring before you an amendment in the amount of $5,285, and that's just to cover the COLA for the child support contract for the 2 sheriff's deputies.
Okay. All right, any questions for Mr. Merritt? Hear none, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to authorize the chairman to execute the contract amendment to approve the budget amendment in the amount of $5,285. That is to cover the COLA increase for the child support enforcement contracted positions. Any discussion on the motion?
Just a point of clarification, this is just aligning ourselves with what we did with the budget. It's nothing more than that with the other COLA, the other increases with other employees with the COLA, just aligning things
Jack.
essentially.
That's correct. It's just, you gave a COLA at budget, so it has to be worked into this contract.
That's just kind of for public
Yeah,
consumption.
it's
Yep.
no additional COLA.
Okay, any additional questions? All right, hear none. We had the motion, we have the second. Hear no further discussion, Madam Clerk, if you will, please call the roll.
Commissioner Mark,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Hunt,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker,
Yes.
Chairman Jones.
Yes, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Same to you. Okay, item 9 is emergency services. Mr. Stanley Kite. Good evening, sir.
Chairman, Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to be here before you this afternoon. I would like to introduce you to Chief Stacy Lewis with Vansboro Fire Department. Chief Lewis is here on the provisions of our contractual arrangements that we have with the fire services. Each individual station has a contract that says before they obligate themselves into tremendous debt services, they will inform you of any new capital outlay purchases. I'm going to let Chief Lewis at this time tell you about his intent to purchase a new truck.
Good evening.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. I come before you this afternoon to the Department's intent to purchase a 2026 E1 Freightliner 3,000-gallon tanker from Fire Connections. The price for it is $484,862. We currently have only the fire station debt. The last truck we purchased in 2020, we financed it for 10 years. We paid it off April of this year. So that truck is paid for. However, we intend to finance again through Civic Federal Credit Union. They've been good to us. I think they've been good to a lot of departments here in the county and other counties' departments. Be glad to answer any questions.
All right, questions for Mr. Lewis? Mr. Mark, you got anything?
Other than to say that Vanceboro has been one of our finest fire departments, and the men that work and women that work there are probably some of the finest people. And they put their life in danger every day, and they do it diligently, and they do it with honor. Thank you.
I will add that we don't have any financial information on it. Other than that, what the total cost is going to be, because it's going to be about 1.5 years delivery once the order is placed. Could be a little less, but it all depends on them.
Stanley, do you remember what a tanker cost when you started in fire service? Because you've been about as long as anybody in the county. You have an idea?
I'm not sure how to say that, Mr. Chair.
Well,
You don't remember the tankers.
I can tell you when a $110,000 fire truck was top Class A fire truck.
yeah, yeah. And it is something, almost $500,000.
And that's just a tanker.
That's cheap.
I mean, that, yeah.
Yeah.
But under today's standard, that's actually a cheap truck.
Yeah, yeah. Well, here, no further discussion. Stacy, thank you for the information. Thank you for providing it. And again, thank you for what y'all do for our citizens. Appreciate it.
Next, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to introduce to you the Chief of Little Swift Creek Fire Department, Blake Feller, and he has with him his Assistant Chief, Josh Whitford. They are asking you to assist them in the purchasing of a truck, and at this time, I'd like to introduce Chief Feller.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity. We're here tonight to request $40,000 from the Little Swift Creek fund balance to be used to purchase a new service truck. We applied for the state grant, but were not awarded due to some wording issues with the grant writing. This $40,000 will be used to match the $40,000 coming from the department's budget.
Okay, Commissioners, you got any questions for Mr. Fowler?
Yeah, I only have one question. Being that they didn't accept it, are we going to rewrite it and put it through again? No? Any particular reason why not?
Because the truck we're wanting is just a regular F-350 pickup truck, and they will only allow for service body type trucks to be put on the grant.
Okay.
All right, any additional questions? Commissioner Hunt?
Differentiate that for me, please.
Let me say that the North Carolina Department of Insurance under the Office of State Fire Marshal sets out the rules and the guidelines for what is and what is not eligible under that grant. And the description and the quotes and the invoices have to be submitted in that grant application. And the specific type and style of vehicle did not have what's called a service body, which would normally be accustomed to hauling rescue type equipment and tools and things of that nature. So therefore, that made the truck itself not eligible. I think it was described originally as something similar to what you see my assistant driving with a camper shell on the back, and that made it not an eligible expense under that grant.
And thus, the difference would probably be $100,000 difference.
It would be quite a difference in the cost,
Yeah.
the total cost.
Yeah.
And I think the department's wishes are for something that they can use that would do the job that they need it to do.
Thank you.
Okay, questions down here? When Mr. Fowler and Mr. Whitford reached out to Commissioner Mark and myself, we met with county manager and finance officer. We did go and look at their financial status, and commissioners, they do have the appropriate funds in the fund balance that the county holds to cover this. By pulling $40,000 out, they'll still have enough that, you know, just like with any department, if the reason we retain it is if some emergency comes up, they can come to us, and we've got money there to assist them. And so we feel like there's adequate funds there. even by pulling the 40,000 out. So Commissioner Mark, myself, both felt comfortable with that. The team felt comfortable. They're nodding their heads. And so at this time, Commissioner Mark, would you want to make that motion?
Yes, I would.
All right.
Second.
Commissioner Mark made a motion, seconded by Commissioner Mitchell, to pull 40,000 out of the fund balance for on the county side for Little Swift Creek. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hear none, Madam Clerk, if you will, please call the roll.
Commissioner Mark,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Hunt,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker,
Yes.
Chairman Jones.
Yes. Thank you. Appreciate y'all being here, Josh. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you again for what you do. Thank you, sir. All right, item 10 is airport. We are honored to have with us Mr. Shorter, our airport director. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Thanks for having me here tonight. This is the annual allocation of the FAA grants. Two different grants tonight that we'll be talking about. One is our what's the more normal AIP, Airport Improvement Program grant, where we're allocated money based on the category of the airport and the number of payments we do is usually $1.3 million a year. So that is the first grant that this year it'll be in the amount of $1,073,967, and that will go toward the part 2 of the airline or the terminal project, the airline ticket offices part of that project. I'll flip through these slides here in a minute to show you these. The second grant is part of the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law Airport Improvement Grant Program. So we were allocated that money by the federal government in individual year amounts for the first 3 years of a 5-year program. So this uses or accounts for years 1, 2, and part of year 3, so fiscal year 22, 23, and part of 24. And that'll be used also for the terminal improvement part 2 project, and then also for the environmental assessment of the corporate aerospace development area that we're working on, and then also the clearing, grubbing, and fencing of that area, which we've already completed, so this will actually be a reimbursement, or be the reimbursement to the first part of that project. Got this handy dandy pointer here that hopefully will work, won't put anybody's eyes out. So airport, main runway, Highway 70, commercial terminal, civilian general aviation terminal. So when we talk about the corporate aerospace development area, this is this area right over here. It's about 90 acres in total. That's about 70 acres that we cleared. That was a $1.3 million project that it's done. Robbie, if you can flip the slide. Here's the close-up of that area, and this is the kind of artist's impression of what we intend to do here first. This is the road leading into it and the sewer leading into it. The road through the county, with the help of the Economic Development Division, we have a $1 million grant from Commerce to help do the road. The sewer line, we got a $753,000 grant from the Golden Leaf organization to do that. And then we've also received $5 million of state funding, and that'll mainly go towards this taxiway and apron. So right now, if you look at the bottom here, that's the picture as if you were standing about in this position looking back. So you can see that's cleared. It looks nice. There was no wetland or significant wetland in that area, fairly level. And right now it's being the whole topo survey of that area, and then we're getting ready to let the contract on the road to do that part, quickly followed by the sewer portion of this. So initially, again, this will be kind of paying back for the clearing and grubbing that we've done. We will have subsequent BIL, AIG grants to do some of these other pieces, and then also, of course, be using the state money. That's a pretty large apron right there in that taxiway. For instance, that's a 300 by 200 foot hangar, 60,000 square foot hangar. Currently, the largest hangar on the airport is 10,000 square feet. So that's pretty significant improvement. Again, this is kind of a depiction of what can happen up there. So you see 3 facilities that have runway access, but then there's also room for some other facilities that would be aeronautical in designation, but not need runway access. So some of the things that Jeff has cooking with his economic development could be relevant for that type of things. But this is a very exciting area, and we're happy to get moving. Of course, all the different colors of money that we have between the Golden Leaf, the Commerce, the state legislative directed funding, and then the FAA funding, it's a win-win-win-win-win as far as all those go. So that just helps create the lift, pun intended, for this area, all these organizations getting together to support this. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is the commercial terminal in these colored areas, yellow, orange, pink, and the green. We finished the yellow area, which is the new hold room is what we call it. It's the secure area in the back. We finished that at the end of June. We finished this area of the orange, which is the secure screening area. We're pretty much done with the orange except for this area. Just in the last week, we've carpeted and finished this area. And then they just were hanging the beams today as I left across the roadway up here. And then this is a charging station for ground support equipment. So we'll have 6 charging spaces for a lot of the ground support equipment. The large legacy airlines are going to EV type vehicles, so that'll be a nice improvement. All of these improvements had multifaceted effects, not only creating a larger terminal to create more capacity and throughput, but they also energy efficiency, ADA compliance, and those types of things. So that's why we were so successful getting the grant money for this. This portion, the 10,000 new square feet, and then the 19,000 renovated, that was $27 million that, again, we're kind of closing out on that. And then this next portion, next slide, Robbie. Sorry, this is, I thought these are really good because on the left, that's the artist's impression. And then on the right, those are pictures of the actual facility. So it's pretty darn close. It's hard to tell which is the artist's impression and which is the finished product. But you can see, very proud of that. It's such a nice improvement. Everybody that walks into it is in awe, certainly people that have been in the older one. The most interesting thing was at some point we had people leave through the old temporary, and then they came back through here, so they were coming in, they're like, oh, wait, am I in the right place? Did I come back to the right place? So that was kind of fun. Next slide, Robbie. Okay, so this is the new portion. So this was in the orange, if you recall, the new hold rooms back here. So this is what we call the airline ticket offices, ATO spaces. So it's some waiting area, the ticket counters. There's room for 2 legacy airlines here, and then what we consider the low-cost or seasonal airline. Just for reference, right now, Breeze Airlines is using this spot right here, so they would move over here once we get that done. So it's not wild to think that they need so much smaller space than what American will have in this area. But the real nice part about this is it turns from blue to teal back here. That's an inline baggage belt, and that's really the heart of this project. So this end is where TSA does the bag screening. So even when you check your bag, that goes through a X-ray machine and gets screened. Right now, they have to touch that thing and move it about 4 different times. This will.
Where you enter, I'm a little bit off there.
Yeah, so this is the main entrance
Okay.
of the terminal. So as you come in, you come down here, and these are the airlines. This is where American's counter is.
Okay.
This is where Breeze is.
Got it.
So that's where you check in and hand
Got
it
it.
over your
Got it.
bags.
Mhm.
So now with this inline system, they will be able to place the bag on that system, and it will, without being touched again, be able to go through screening. If it needs to be inspected, it can get pulled off all at the same level, and then put back on, and then back out here, and then loaded onto the baggage carts. So the terminal designed as it is now was a pre-9/11 design. So each airline at that time would send its own bags to the back. But of course, that quickly changed after the terminal in its current configuration was done. So it's been a while coming for TSA in particular to be able to have this inline baggage system. And of course, that's a newer, better machine, similar to the newer, better machine that we got back here in where the passengers are screened. So we're very excited about this. TSA is very excited about it. You know, again, long time coming, and The bid price on this, Monteith Construction from Wilmington, who's doing part one, bid on this. They were the only bidder, but we got a very good bid. It came in under the engineer's estimate, $5.7 million. So again, that's what this money, kind of the wonky part of this is less eligible for federal funding than some of these other pieces because we do charge the airlines rent. So therefore, the FAA says, well, we're not paying for things that you can use to make rent off of. So that's why the Bill AIG money is slightly more available to do these. And then ultimately, our state funding that we get every year will finish up the differences between, because if you add these up, you're like, well, that's not $5.7 million. So we have the other annual state funding that we'll use 2.5 years worth of that for. So once again, and also our 10% match. So $5.7 million project will be done without any financing requirements, and it'll put the airport, the airlines, and the TSA in a much better position, occupational hazard type OSHA things as far as moving those bags around. And then we'll be done for a little while. Thank goodness. So, sir, basically there'll be the two grants. The one will be for $1,073,967 that I talked about, and then the other one will be for $3.828408, so $3,828,408. They have to be signed and returned by September 13th. Apologize, but the FAA always crams us up into this corner, as you know, and we want to get that back to them so that they can process it before the end of their fiscal year. We did receive the grants. There was some question last week when we put this on the agenda whether or not it would be here, but we do have physical grants. ARI has them, so they're ready for your signature should you decide to approve this.
Okay, thank you. Questions for Ms. Short?
I'd like to make the motion that we authorize the chairman to execute these two grant orders.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Commissioner Howard made a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, if you will, please call the roll.
Commissioner Mark?
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunt?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Zucker?
Yes.
Chairman Jones?
Yes. Commissioner Moore?
I have one question, Andy. Why do they stop Breeze from flying into White Plains by October? This coming October.
So when we wrote the contract for them to provide service here, they write all their contracts as seasonal. And, we got a little worried at first when they said that. I said, no, we do that in all our places because sometimes they will stop for a month at a time. So January, if that's what you're saying, that would not surprise me that maybe January, February, they start to then stop to then start back up.
Back up then.
A lot of the other low-cost airlines, Allegiant, for instance, virtually does not fly in the month of September. September is a horrible vacation air travel month. So you'll see that sometimes with these low-cost airlines. But that's how they keep it low cost, because they're not flying it when a bunch of people aren't traveling.
Okay. Any additional yes, sir, go ahead.
Sorry, Robbie, one more slide. Any questions? I had that at the end, so.
That's fine. That's fine. Vice Chair Booker.
I'm just curious what the Breeze temperature is right now as far as their satisfaction or dissatisfaction with New Bern as a terminal.
Yes, sir. So we have a meeting every 2 weeks with them, with their network planners. That was part of when we wrote the contract, but it's been going so well, we're going to shift those to once a month. They've been very happy with the service. They kind of rate us along other ones, and we're kind of in the top third of all their new stations, so that was very good. As you probably know, they execute what they call the breeze through here, so people get on in Hartford with the intent of going to Orlando, and then they stay on the plane here. Mm-hmm. Good thing is when the plane takes off here, we get credit for them on the plane. They actually said, wow, this breeze through is working how we really wanted it to work here. The other places that we don't do it don't work that well, so they're actually using us, trying to figure out as a model why it's working so much better here. One thing maybe, and it's also an interesting factoid, there's only 3 miles difference between Hartford and here and Orlando and here. So we're literally right in the middle, so that makes it maybe easier for people to make that decision. But they've happy so far. Again, it's been a busy summer. We're going into September, so it's the fingernail biting month. We'll see how that goes, but you know, we get this from them, and we say, well, you're just telling us that, or what? They say, no, we have a naughty list, and you guys aren't close to it. So,
good. Any additional questions?
I just wanted to say, Mr. Shorter, it's always exciting when you're here. Having always used this airport and not using any other airport for the last decade, I really enjoy the changes that's occurred. And I want to let everybody know that your new X-ray machine works really well. So last month when I flew out of here, they pulled my bag aside, and as a devout rule follower, they pulled my bag out. So I was curious, and I accidentally put a full tube of toothpaste in there, and you're only allowed 3 ounces, and they caught that. So it works really well. And everybody should know that they'll be flying safe.
well, as you all know, or hopefully you know, that we do this all for the community. You know, the airport is just the airport, but we really want to provide the service for the community to keep growing it, and again, create the lift and get better and better and better. So thanks for those comments.
Good job.
Anything further? All right, Ms. Shorter, thank you for being here. We'll get those documents signed this evening.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right. Item 11, Commissioners, is appointments. You have before you pending, current, and upcoming. Under pending, do any of the Commissioners have any?
Yes, sir, I do. For the New Bern Library Board, we have received an application from Dr. Dax Jennings. She is a former professor of English at University of Kentucky, has 2 small children here, married into a long-term Eastern North Carolina family. I highly recommend her, and I would like to have her appointed.
Okay, we have the nomination of Dax Jennings. Is there any additional nominations? Hearing none, we will set by acclamation. Thank you, Commissioner Mitchell. Any other pending appointments, any nominations for any other pending? All right, now we will go to current. You have before you under current Craven County Recreation Advisory Council. 2 districts are up this evening, District 4, Commissioner Mitchell, and District 7, Commissioner Booker. We'll begin with District 4. You have 1 applicant in your agenda packet. You also received an additional applicant that's at your desk of John Robertson. Commissioner Mitchell.
Yes, I would like to nominate John Robinson.
Okay, we have the nomination of Mr. Robinson. Are there additional nominations? Hearing none, we will set Mr. Robinson by acclamation. Thank you. The next will be Commissioner Booker's district. We have an applicant of Ricky Meadows representing District 7.
I'd like to nominate Ricky Meadows.
Okay, we have the nomination of Mr. Meadows. Are there any additional nominations? Hearing none, we will set by acclamation. Next is the Senior Tar Heel Legislative Committee. You have the applicant of Dr. Judith Sinclair, who seeks appointment. Commissioner Smith, or who was a part of this? Commissioner Hunt, was one of y'all part of this and helping get this individual? Do y'all know her?
She's part of, it's part of that aging planning board process.
Okay.
This is your senior representative to their legislative
Okay.
branch at the
All
top.
right, so,
Would be my board.
okay, you okay with this
Yes,
one?
I am.
So you make that nomination?
Make the nomination that we accept Dr. Sinclair.
Okay, we have a nomination of Dr. Sinclair. Are there additional nominations from the board? Hearing none, we will set by acclamation. Are there any current that we have forgotten, Commissioners? All right, hearing none, you see the upcoming appointments. Please take note of those. Anything else under appointments? Hearing none, we will now go to the county attorney's report. Mr. Ari Grady. Good evening, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good evening. I have 1 item for your consideration this evening. It is county-owned surplus real estate that we acquired through the tax foreclosure process. This property is owned jointly with the City of New Bern, which has already given its preliminary approval to the transaction. The property is located at 513 First Avenue in the City of New Bern with a parcel ID number of 8012A as in Apple 225. The offer amount is $2,700. The past due taxes and the cost of foreclosure were originally $3,876.25. The tax value is $5,400. Again, the city has already given its initial approval, so I would ask that the board consider doing likewise so we can get it out for upset bids.
All right, what's the desire of the board?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt a resolution for partial number 8-012-A-225. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. All right, next is the petition of citizens for general topics. Vice Chair Booker, we have anyone signed up?
We have no one.
Okay, anyone desiring to speak that didn't sign up? All right, hearing none, we will now move to the county manager's report. Mr. Vice.
Mr. Chairman, just a reminder, there is a closed session on here tonight for two different matters, just to represent the board, but I have no other comments, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Commissioner's report. We'll begin with Commissioner Mark.
I have nothing to report.
All right, Commissioner Hunt.
Just want to mention, September 14th, the Harlow Volunteer Firefighter Auxiliary is hosting an open house from 4 to 8 p.m., and then following a family movie night called Luca. There will be a plethora of vendors to include representatives from the VA, suicide prevention, the mobile library. Hearts will be in attendance, of course, Bounce House, and Smokey Bear is coming. Everyone's welcome. You don't have to live south of the base to attend. And I hope to see some happy faces out there.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Smith.
Well, I would like to bring to your attention the continued good work of Baptist on Mission. They have just completed a roof in my attendance area and about to start work on a house, so I'm real thrilled with that.
That's good.
Thank them.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Howard.
No report.
All right, Commissioner Mitchell.
Just one thing, and this actually goes to Commissioner Smith's district. You may remember that there was an Eagle Scout project 2 years ago that raised $45,000 to redo the basketball court at the Pembroke Community Center. Mr. Cassiello's sister, also an Eagle Scout, has just started her project to raise money to redo the playground.
That's good.
It's exciting. That's great.
Thank you,
I hadn't
ma'am.
heard of that. I was aware of that. That's great.
All right, Vice Chair Booker.
Yeah, this doesn't have anything to do with county business, but I just wanted to mention that last Thursday, my wife and I celebrated our 60th wedding anniversary.
Way to go.
I think you made it work.
60.
60. That's
I don't ever remember being single, actually. So anyway, we had a good time, and we're working on 61.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Yep.
He's the eldest.
Don't.
All right, Commissioners, we have been requested to go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318, 11A3, attorney-client privilege, and North Carolina General Statute 143-318, 11A4, to discuss matters relating to the location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the area served by the public body. Do I have a motion that we will go into closed session?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second to go in closed session. Any discussion on the motion? The discussion, I would just say, are we going to meet in here or in your office?
To the board.
All right, go in your office?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll take about a 5 minute, and then we'll go into county manager's office. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're going to take a 5 minute recess.